Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Darsh and I'm a coach who's gone through all the shoulder pains, lower back pain, tight hamstrings, and all the ups and downs that you get from all those hours of sitting long periods of time. So today I'm going to walk you through just some of the best exercises that have helped me. We'll go through from the neck all the way down to the bottom of our feet, and just kind of going through what I feel is going to be very beneficial if you're someone who has just noticed your hips are getting tight, your lower back is kind of getting a little bit sore or aches and pains, and especially noticing that your posture's gone to shit as well. I'll go through a few exercises that have helped me. So the main thing that I've been noticing more so recently is the word mobility is coming up more and more often. And people are going, are you doing mobility? And I guess one thing I wanted to clear up is what exactly mobility is, because I went back to the UK, well, was it last year? Yeah, last year, and I was talking to one of my friends and he's kind of asking me, he's like, wait, what are you up to? And I said, I've just kind of been incorporating a lot more mobility because he'd heard, obviously, I had loads of shoulder injuries and this is kind of the approach I've been taking. And so I told him about mobility and he goes, oh yeah, like I do mobility every day. And I was just like, wow, that's great. That's great to hear. I was like, tell me what you're doing. And he was like, yeah, every time I go to the gym, I go on the bike and I cycle a little bit. And I was just there thinking, that's not mobility, but I understand the confusion because we've associated being mobile with mobility. So mobility is actually the way I kind of put things together when it comes to mobility is a combination of strength and flexibility. If you think about your ability to reach down to your toes, that's a given range that you have, right? And obviously, the further you go, the more range you have. Now, the question is, how strong are you in that range? Okay, a perfect example is when someone is doing the splits, right? A lot of females, especially, are very, very flexible. But the question there is, how strong are they when they are in that position? So that's the difference between kind of flexibility. Strength is a combination of both. You get mobility. Okay, so I'm going to be running you through just a few exercises that have helped me, and again, nothing that requires essential equipment. You can actually do this at home. I wanted to keep this quite beginner based. The first one we're going to be starting off is with the neck. So most of us don't actually realize just how much tension we carry in the neck, and it's all from that hunching over, driving, stress, and everything comes towards our ears. And something that you think about here is if your traps, which are these muscles here, are always on, think about your nervous system here. Like, it's thinking like we're just ready for something, whether it's fight or flight. So you can actually think about what it does as a behavioral thing throughout your day if you're just up here tense and stressed in that sense. So we do want to make sure we drop them before we carry out with any of these stretches that we're going to be doing. So we don't want to go to a point where it's painful. We actually want to think about going to a point where you feel that gentle stretch. Looking down and give a little pressure as you pull your head down. And from here, I want you to round that upper back. If you actually do notice a little bit of tightness here, you'll feel a nice, almost a gentle stretch that goes down your whole of your back. So next up, we have the shoulder dislocates. For this, you can either use a towel, if you've got a broom at home. Of course, if your gym has a PVC pipe or some sort of stick, you can use that, or even a resistance band. All of these will come in handy for what we're going to be doing here. So if you're starting to notice that your shoulders are rolling forward, and also, of course, you're just noticing in pictures that your posture's just kind of gone to shit from all those hours of sitting, this is going to be a really good one. The main cause of the rounding of your shoulders could be two things. It could be your chest is quite tight, so it's pulling everything forward, and the counterpart on the other side is that your upper back is quite weak. So we need to start to open up the chest and of course open up the shoulders. So this will definitely help with that. With this, the goal isn't to force the range. It's to reconnect the shoulder movement with the rib cage position. Most people cheat by flaring the ribs out. I want you to make sure you keep them down. So the beautiful thing about the dislocates is that it opens up the chest and the front delts. And the great thing is that it improves shoulder mobility and that ability to lift your arms overhead. Things to be mindful of when you're doing this exercise is slowly bring the stick overhead and behind, keeping your arms nice and straight. And if you feel stuck, all I want you to do is widen your grip, okay? So a shorter grip is harder, wider grip is easier. And feel free to not have to go back all the way straight away. You can actually just start by just having it overhead, bringing it back. And as you start to get comfortable, as the nervous system starts to allow you to explore that range, you can take it further back up until a point it's behind you. So next up, we have the butcher's block. I know, a really weird name for an exercise. So the way the name catchy came out is from the way the butchers look when they're leaning over their chopping board. That's it. I looked into it, I thought it'd be something special, but that was basically it. So as you can see, we will need some sort of box for this exercise, or you can use a sofa, a chair, just something elevated that you can place your elbows onto. Okay, so there's two options that you can actually have is if you have a pole, you can use a pole. If you don't have anything to hold on to, you can just place your hands together. If during this exercise you find that you're getting a bit of discomfort, what you can actually do is just place your hands on the box, bring your hips back, and just sink your chest towards the ground. This is an elevated shoulder stretch. But if you want to explore this range and do the butcher's block, so you want to drop the chest between your arms and don't arch the lower back. And one thing to be mindful of is keeping your hips stacked over your knees. To get a deeper stretch, you want to think about almost doing a bicep curl towards the back of your neck. That way you feel a nice stretch in your triceps and your lats. This one's a bit of a mouthful, the quadruped thread the needle. So I want you to think for a second. Other than potentially getting out of bed and getting into the car, when do you rotate your body? Our rotational mobility in our mid-back gets lost when all we do is sit and lean forward. If you can't rotate here, your lower back and shoulders will try to overcompensate in real movement, leading to pain. Now, if you're getting tension in that upper back, this is a really, really great one for it. So the way you gotta think about this exercise is as you reach under, allow that shoulder to drop to the floor. Breathe into the stretch and try not to hold your breath. Feel the stretch across your back, not your lower spine. Think about rotating through your mid-back, not just shifting weight. The scorpion stretch. So this is one of my favorite ones for opening up the chest. So it might look quite complicated, but it has its real purpose. Things to be mindful of when you're doing this drill. Bring your arm out about 90 degrees. Lift the leg slowly and bring it across to the opposite side of your body. Keep your chest grounded as the leg crosses. Feel the stretch across your chest. If you feel like you want a deeper stretch, feel free to adjust the hand that's at 90 degrees a little bit further out and think about pushing that knee behind you if you feel like you just want a bit more of a stretch. So the reverse tabletop. So this one is a great one for opening up the whole of your front line. You name it, your wrist, your chest, your hip flexors. It's going to be a really, really great one for you to do. So things to be mindful of as you're doing this exercise is you want to push through the heels, squeeze your butt to push those hips up. Okay, so you want to make sure you're trying to be as straight as possible. Imagine a table, that's how straight you want it to be. If you struggle with this exercise initially, you don't have to have your knees bent. You can actually just imagine doing like a reverse plank. So now we're moving on to the hips, and the elbow frog stretch is one of those ones where you won't forget it. That's all I can say. So the great thing about this exercise is that it opens up the inner hips and groin. So again, if you're sat for long periods of time, this is a must to include in your routine. The way you want to position it is getting down onto all fours. Try and bring your knees out as wide as possible. Your ankles and knees want to be in one line, and you want to think about pushing your hips slightly back to feel that inner thigh stretch. Keep your spine neutral, so you want to try and keep it as flat as possible. Really relax into this. There's no need to feel stressed in this. The more you breathe, the body relaxes and you can go that little bit deeper. Next up, the box pigeon stretch. This is actually one of my favorites. It's one of the ones that helped me with when I had lower back issues. Whenever we have that lower back tension, we always kind of go, it's the lower back where the problem is, but we actually don't realize it could be the glutes. If you think about the size of the glutes, now if they're weak, there's going to be some instability when it comes to supporting your spine, right? So it could be those deep glute muscles that we need to start focusing on, strengthening them, and also if they're tight, it will cause some havoc to the lower back for sure. So I actually prefer doing this elevated compared to doing on the floor. I find it's just a lot more comfortable on the knees. You want to square your hips to the box and don't twist. Lead with your chest as you forward fold. And if you start to get that pain in that knee, just adjust the angle. Don't go into this with ego. Raise it up and slowly and gently ease your way into this exercise. Or if you're at home, you can actually do this on the sofa. Think about using the handrest as the elevation, and as you get more and more comfortable with exercise, you can just do it completely flat. Next up, we have the lunge side bend. So we're going to be starting to target those hip flexors. This isn't just your ordinary lunge. We're going to be incorporating a bit of a side bend in this exercise. So chances are that if you're sat for a long period of time, those hip flexors, the muscle that actually brings your knee up, is tight. So we need to stretch those out. So because if you think about when you're sat at the desk, those muscles aren't getting worked. And if they're in that position for long periods of time, they're gonna get tight. So first of all, you wanna make sure that your hip is in line with your knee. From here, tuck your pelvis slightly to avoid any lower back compression. Reach tall before you bend to the side. That way you feel a nice stretch along the side of your body. Next up, we have the ATG split squat. So there was actually a reason we didn't want to go too deep with the lunges prior to this. The reason being is because we're going to be targeting them a little bit more in the ATG split squat. ATG basically stands for ass to grass, and they use that term for when you're doing a squat and to see how low you can go. So with this exercise, we're not only just going to be targeting those hip flexors, we're also going to be working on your knees, which is great if you've got knee issues, as well as any issues with your ankle mobility. So for this, you will need some sort of elevated surface. As you progress with this exercise, the lower the elevation, the harder it becomes. The cues to consider when you're doing this exercise is keep your heel as flat as possible. You'll notice a slight kind of elevation, and that's because my ankle mobility still needs a lot of work. So try and keep that heel as flat as you can. The back foot, you're going to be on your toes, and you want to think about squaring your hips and pushing the hips forward. Now, for a deeper stretch, you want to think about really squeezing that butt muscle, push the hips forward, and you'll feel a nice stretch. With the back leg, you want to keep it as straight as possible. So if you do notice you're bending it, straighten it more and you'll start to notice that stretch. So with the front leg, you want to think about bringing that hamstring to touch the back of your calves. And as you start to get more comfortable with this exercise, drop the elevation. And if you're doing this at the gym, you can actually start to include some weights. The calf stretch. So this is something which a lot of people oversee. So now if you think about when you're sat at the desk, your knees are bent and you're going to be staying in that position for long periods of time. The back of your knees just get very, very tight. Depending on how far you are from the wall will correlate to how much of a stretch you get. The further away you are, whilst keeping that heel planted, will give you more of a deeper stretch. Something to consider when you're doing this, a cue that confuses a lot of my clients. As you're bending forward that front leg and you're feeling that nice stretch already in the back leg, think about lifting the back toes up. Now, they won't budge, but it's the intention, and you'll just start to notice you're getting a bit more of a deeper stretch, because as you're doing that, you're actually moving into more of a deeper range and teaching the body of what we want it to do. Now, we're working on the toes. Yes, we're doing some toe stretches. I know what you're thinking, why the hell am I stretching my toes? But if you think about the shoes that you're wearing, everything is kind of crushed up. The toes just get a bit of a beating when it comes to that. So another thing to consider as well, not only just stretching them, but the barefoot shoes, really, really good. Look into them. So if it looks a bit strange, it's because it is, all right? But the feet are the base of everything. So if they're weak, if they're stiff, the rest of the body will also notice that. You can do this with your hands supported, okay? So you just want to start stretching out those toes and gently lean forward and back just to kind of give a bit more relief to those. And it feels great. Don't just focus on the big toe. Think about all the little ones as well. Again, everything in the body is connected, right? Moving on to elephant walks. Now, if you can't touch your toes and you're in your 30s and 40s, we've got some work to do. The great thing is that you can do something about it. It's just built up tension, built up stiffness. But if you do this right, you can alleviate all that stiffness and be able to touch your toes again. It's not about can you touch your toes or not, it's what that ability allows you to do, not just now, but in the future as well. So when you reach down, if you can't reach your toes, that's okay. All I want you to do is just grab a hold of the back of your legs wherever you are. Think about dropping your head down, allow it to hang. And I want you to think about not going towards your legs, but going towards your toes. And what you want to start thinking about is that bending one leg and straightening the other. You're going to feel a nice stretch at the back of your legs. Okay, so these are your hamstrings. And the more you pull yourself towards your toes, you just notice that you'll be able to stretch them out just that little bit more. If you've done the calf stretch just before this is going to work wonders. And you'll just notice, even after this, you might have just a few more inches of range, then you'll be able to get that little bit closer towards your toes. So next up we have the lumbar spine twist. Again, a very simple exercise to decompress the spine, especially if you're noticing you're having lower back issues. This is a great one. You want to be lying on your back, you want to pull one knee into the body. From here, keep both shoulders on the ground. Take a nice inhale here. Think about dropping the knee over to the opposite side. You can use your hand for support, fully relax and let gravity do its thing. And be sure to do both sides. And there you have it, there are 14 exercises for you. So as you may have noticed, there was no foam rolling involved. There was no of these fancy exercises that you see on Instagram, TikTok, whatever it may be. These are just simple exercises that you can do on a daily basis. So without overwhelming yourself, it's not 14 you have to do every single day. Break it up, whether you want to do shoulders one day, hips another day, spinal the other day. think about what works for your routine, okay? But the main thing is actually understanding that if you don't do something now, what's to come, you know? Mobility is important. It's important for that longevity side of things. And as you know, my background, I was an optometrist. I've seen it when it comes to people just neglecting this. So again, 5 minutes a day can make the biggest difference. Not only in how you feel, how you move, but your mood will change. Just how you show up, how your posture makes a big difference to just our emotions and how we show up in this world. So really think about how you can start to include these in your routine. So if you found this useful, please subscribe, please like, please share this with someone that who might benefit from this as well. And of course, more and more videos will be coming out. If you have any ideas or any questions, please throw them in the comment section and I'll keep creating to give you more information. So stay tuned and until next time.